Today we're going to talk about a young comedian who emerged in the 80s and who is still relevant today. This comedian is Eddie Murphy. According to John Taylor in his Legends of Laughter book of 2024, Eddie Murphy was born April 3rd, 1961, in the Bushwick section of Brooklyn, New York. His parents were Charles and Lillian Murphy. Charles was a police officer and his mother was a telephone operator. By the time Eddie Murphy was 8 years old, his parents would be divorced. And also, his father would be killed in a crime of passion. After this, his mom would become ill, so ill that she would be hospitalized, and the kids would have to go to foster care. Foster care proved to be a trying time for little Eddie and his brother, who we know as the late great Charles Murphy, or Charlie Murphy. During these trying times in foster care, Eddie Murphy is where he found comedy to cope with his difficult situation. His foster care mom was very abusive and mean, but this wouldn't last long because a year later his mother would recover from her illness and she would marry a young man by the name of Vernon Lynch. Vernon Lynch was a supervisor at an ice cream company, and he moved his family to the suburbs of Roosevelt, New York. And the two were given a sense of normalcy and security. Eddie Murphy then attended Roosevelt Junior Senior High School, which is where he learned to develop his comedy skills by doing stand-up routines around the neighborhood and at community parties and things of that sort. Also, he considered himself an expert at a sport that they call ranking. And what ranking is where the students would get together and make witty insults at each other. And also, around this time, he began to perform his impressions that he liked to do, such as Bugs Bunny, Jerry Lewis, Elvis Presley, or even Al Green. After graduating from Roosevelt Junior Senior High School, he attended Nassau Community College to appease his mother, and he studied theater. But he still continued to pursue his dream to be a comedian. After auditioning 7 times, he finally landed the role as an extra on Saturday Night Live at the age of 19. And it proved to be a little intimidating, although it should have been a little intimidating, because he was the only African American on set, but this did not intimidate him. He got his big break one day when the producers realized that the skits were over and they had with 4 minutes left of airtime, so they urged Eddie Murphy to go ahead and perform one of his stand-up routines. This routine would be called a masterful performance by the Rolling Stones. Eddie Murphy would go on to headline and play such roles as Buckwheat and Velvet Jones. And if you never heard of Velvet Jones, he played like a pimp / salesman, and he would sell books with raunchy titles like Kicked in the Butt for Love. And also he'd do a parody of Mr. Rogers, which is like a ghetto version called Mr. Robinson. Around this time, famous directors started looking for new talent, and this is where he landed his first movie role in the movie 48 Hours. This movie would go on to make $78 million. And he also starred in another movie called Trading Places, where he signed a $15 million contract. Brian Hyatt, in his 2011 Rolling Stone periodical, states that after this, Eddie Murphy would have a bump in his career because times were in the 90s were not as good as they were in the 80s. Until 1996, when the movie Nutty Professor came out. This landed him on top again. And he would go on to do 2 animated films where he played the voice of Mushu in Mulan in 1988, And also he played the voice of Donkey in the Shrek series that went from 2001 to 2010. He won his first Academy Award nomination in 2006 for Dreamgirls. In 2019, he earned an Emmy Award because he returned to host the Saturday Night Live as a guest actor. He also, in 2015, won a Golden Globe Award for his Lifetime Achievement, which is also called the Cecil B. DeMille Award. I provided to you the early life and career of comedian Eddie Murphy, a young man from Brooklyn who persevered. During an interview with Josh Rottenberg of Entertainment Weekly, Eddie Murphy stated, "I ended up grossing over $3 billion in the film industry while remaining in plain sight." So you see, Eddie Murphy recognized his talent early, persevered through challenges with hard work and resilience, which shaped his long-standing and successful career. And that is why he remains a driving force in comedy for over 45 years.
Mm.